and welcome to another evening of frank conversation on Hard Copy. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. This week, we focus on a perennial problem Nigeria has battled for a while now: unemployment. Figures from the National Bureau of Statistics put 2019 unemployment figures at 23.1%, and they're projected to reach 33.5% this year. Now, this is some of the highest figures we've ever recorded as a country for unemployment. For a country with a huge youth population, which is expected to grow even further, what is responsible for the growing unemployment? Why are policies laid down so far not yielding as much as they ought to? And what can be done to remedy them? Our guest tonight is Dr. Dipo Awojide, a senior lecturer in strategy at the Nottingham Business School in the United Kingdom and founder of the BTDT Hub. Ogbeni Dipo, as he's called on Twitter, has helped many young people advance their careers by equipping them with a university exit strategy and provided mentorship to well above 1,000 young people from all over the world. Dipo is also the first Nigerian to be included on the LinkedIn honorees list. Dr. Dipo Awojide, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much, Maokwe.
33.5% for this year, 2020. That figure was from the Minister of Labour and Productivity himself, and it's a really scary projection for 2020.
Yep.
Why do you think Nigeria has a big unemployment problem?
I think over time, the government has not, created and implemented policies or created an enabling environment, that would let young people actually thrive. I think the problem can be linked to our university education and the university system, because, a lot of the curriculum in our federal and state universities are quite dated. A lot of the curriculum does not focus on critical thinking, or does not focus or encourage, young people to solve problems. It doesn't encourage, people to have a business orientation or a business mindset. Yeah. Our curriculum across a lot of our federal and state universities are more theoretical based, rather than, training young people on practical skills, which, would help them get a job upon graduation and advance their personal careers.
You've actually said a lot in very few sentences. If we were to, expatiate a bit more on some of the things that you've said, I think we'll come to that a little later. But is that why a lot of our young people are tagged unemployable? Is it because the curriculum we're coming with from the university is already dated and so we're not suitable for the job market? Or is it that we do not exactly have what is needed in the job market? What exactly is it? Okay,
so I'd say our universities don't train young people. Fresh graduates actually come out from university without any sort of skills, any sort of employability or transferable skills. Leadership skills, communication skills, cognitive flexibility.
Whose fault is that? I mean, you have schooled here. You went to the University of Abuja before you went abroad for a master's. Whose fault is it that young people do not have any of these skills, or do not even think that it's important to have some of the skills which are later then required in the real world?
So it's partly the fault of the universities. I say that because, partly the fault of the federal and state universities, because I would expect, and I've been saying this in the last 5 or 7 years, that every university has academic mentors or, pastoral care departments, that can actually guide and mentor students. So besides having, lecturers who actually teach, and not to also forget that a lot of these lecturers are, a bit advanced in age, and, you could argue that, their mentality is a bit different from, the experience that they had in the 70s and the 80s is quite different from what is needed to actually advance, for young people to actually advance their careers.
In today's world.
Yeah, in today's world.
Yeah, because our parents would tell you about how when they finished school, jobs were waiting for them. In fact, they were picking and choosing which jobs they wanted to enter.
Yeah, so that's the second part of it. So even for those who are employable, the jobs are not even there. So there are not enough jobs, and there are loads of young people, young graduates, who are unemployable because, you know, the university doesn't provide any sort of career coaching or career guidance, or, you know, these young people don't have any sort of, you know, academic mentors or business mentors. Business students don't visit the industry. They don't go on a placement year. So they don't even know what is happening outside. So universities and, you know, businesses should have like, you know, seminars or, you know, meetings where they have like knowledge, you know, sharing. And so the business, you know, businesses basically should be telling the universities that this is what we want from these students.
So where would you say that meeting point ought to be in terms of what is demanded? Because there is so much demand for good skills, and what we actually have on the ground.
Okay, so government policy can actually help. So the NUC, you know, vice chancellors and those in charge of our federal and state universities need to actually train students. They need to train employable or produce employable students. And they have to actually work in partnership with businesses and multinational organizations in Nigeria, you know, to actually say, okay, these are the skills. So when, you know, your graduates should have basic, you know, team working, communication skills, Excel, you know, they should know how to write basic business reports. So, you know, universities actually have a role to play, businesses have a role to play, but government policy can actually go a long way. So the government, for example, can say over the next 5 years or over the next 7 or 10 years, you know, we actually want to focus on, you know, employability skills. So training our young people to ensure that they are employable. And besides doing that, you know, they also need to focus on, you know, creating an enabling environment. Because it is not, you know, everybody who comes out from university that should be looking for a job. A lot of people should actually get 1 year internship or maybe 1 or 2 years experience, and they can actually go on to create their own jobs or create, you know, start their own small business and employ 5 or 10 other people.
We'll come to that shortly. I mean, the issue of entrepreneurship and how it's caught fire now, it's now the craze, and whether that is really the way out. But you've talked about government policies being something that you could help bridge a gap. There are those who will argue that you and I did not exactly have government policies to help bridge this gap, yet you have found your way in the job market, and you not only found your way, you're helping others find their way as well. What would you say enabled you find your way that is not there now for other young people to leverage on? Okay,
so I actually went abroad for my master's degree, and that actually opened my eyes to, you know, a proper system, how a university should run, and what a young, you know, what a young professional at 24, 25, you know, what sort of skills you actually need to have. First of all, there was internet. I mean, in the UK, you know, you studied abroad as well. A lot of our universities, federal and state universities in Nigeria, they don't even have, you know, students, lecturers don't have access to the internet. So, you know, that is one other thing that government actually, you know, needs to focus on. So, you know, basically just, you know, being a student, then being a lecturer in a system that works, and actually understanding that, okay, I need to actually invest in my personal and professional development. So it is not everybody who would study abroad. For those who, you know, graduated from a federal or state university, they need to go out to now invest in themselves. Because once you've actually, you know, graduated, it is not the responsibility of the university anymore to actually invest in you or train you. You now need to go out and look for mentors. So I did look for mentors, you know, in finding my path. So they can actually go out there, look for mentors, look for people who have been there and done that. And those people can actually help them in shaping their careers, you know, people who can help them with. So when they invest in their personal and professional development, for example, they can get someone to coach them, you know, prepare them for interviews. They can get someone, they can attend, you know, career master classes where they learn about, you know, the sort of skills that specific companies and specific industries actually require. Then they go on to learn those skills and it becomes easier for them to get a job or create a job for themselves and other people.
Looks like a gap, another opportunity in the market that you have found. You've cashed in on it. The BTDT, been there, done that hub, caters to that right now. Let me just ask you what you make of the people who actually come to you, so to speak, for help.
A lot of the people who come to us, young professionals who come to us, are folks who are aspirational. So they want a better life, they want to get a better job. I mean, I wouldn't want to write anybody off. I mean, some people, I would say, they need a lot of coaching, a lot of mentorship, they need a lot of exposure. But with the right investments in training, in mentorship, I think we can actually brush up a lot of people. We can help, a lot of people actually get to where they need to, be, to get at least an entry-level job.
You talked about entrepreneurship. It's now the new buzzword. Everybody is an entrepreneur. In fact, even if you have a job, you'll be told about a side hustle. Yeah. Why you should have a side hustle and things of the sort. Is it really as, is it really the way out?
Okay, so I think the unemployment situation in Nigeria can actually be significantly solved or reduced if the government continues to create an enabling environment. So I know of, the vice president and a couple of other people who work with the presidency who are trying to make things easier for businesses. I think the government actually needs to focus a lot more on that, focus a lot more on creating an enabling environment. So they need to basically invest more in young people. So invest in skilling and training young people, and invest in, co-working spaces, invest in grants and loans. I mean, 80 billion naira was given to farmers, and they can't even trace majority of these people, or, the recipients of the loans have actually defaulted, and, the CBN, they're chasing them around. A lot of the graduates are people who you can trace. They have an address. Some of them have an international passport. Some of them graduated from certain universities.
Do they have the mentality that when we take this loan, this is not our own share of the national cake?
So I think, once again, this is something that, we actually need to encourage people and, speak to a lot more young people to say, if you do that, you are not only damaging yourself, but you are creating more problems for the country and for other young people. Because if you get a loan of 100,000 naira or 500,000 naira, for example, and you use it, you blow it up, on a clubbing, or you go and get married, or you run away with the money, you're basically tarnishing your own image or your own reputation and your own future, because that is not even a lot of money for you to actually, just soil your name. So, for young folks who might watch this, if you get a loan from the government, 1 million naira, a tech loan, or a loan to invest in your startup or in your entrepreneurial idea, go on to actually do what you've taken that money for. Of course, certain businesses actually fail. If you try and you fail, that's understandable. There's a lot that the private sector can actually do as well.
But the private sector should be concerned about the unemployment figures.
Definitely. So it's not just the government, because the private sector, if they invest in young people, these young people actually, become employable. They help these private companies actually make more money, because these young people would be skilled. They would be in a position to actually contribute, based on their own human capital. They are in a better position to contribute to this company, help these companies, actually make money. And it's a win-win. It's going to be a win-win for the young people, for the companies themselves, and of course, for the economy of Nigeria. It's going to be a win-win situation for everybody.
We know that before now, government, yes, recognizes that unemployment is a huge problem. In some instances, they say entrepreneurship is the way out, and so they've been giving seed money to those who are in the line of entrepreneurship. We've seen You-Win program. We've seen a number of other programs. This government has a number of programs under its social investment scheme. for young people. There's the Jeep program. There
Yep.
is even the mentorship one where they place young coppers of those who have finished school, just finishing from NYC in schools and things of the sort. Why are they not having the kind of impact that we need to see them have on unemployment figures?
I think we need to invest significantly, a lot more on young people. We need to invest a lot more on those who are, the future of this country, those who would help in building the country. Say, for example, we are, 23.1% unemployment rate, not forgetting about those who are underemployed.
Yes.
Because,
which is a big problem as
yeah,
well.
underemployment is another very big problem. We have teachers in secondary school and primary schools who earn 20,000 naira or 25,000 naira or 30,000 naira. That is very ridiculous. We shouldn't have people earning, graduate teachers earning 30,000 naira. I mean, we wouldn't put our children, under the care of anyone who earns 25,000 naira. So why should, we have children from rural areas or children of, people from middle class or lower class actually, earn that amount, be taught by people who earn that amount of money? Because if you earn 25,000 naira or 30,000 naira, I don't think you would be motivated enough to actually do your job. I don't know what sort of trainings, that they would actually get. Because of course, if you pay someone 25,000 naira or 30,000 naira, then how much is your budget on training on a yearly basis or, once in 2 years? What sort of investment are you making in training? So I think the government, needs to do more. Some might actually say, oh, Dipo, there's no money in Nigeria. But there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money that we spend on frivolities. So we still send people to Mecca. We still send people to Jerusalem. I think we can actually cut out all those things. All those monies spending on Hajj, spending on Jerusalem, we can invest it on the future of this country. We can invest it on young people. We can invest it in making young people more employable. We can invest it on improving, the entrepreneurship, training people, giving loans and grants.
There is so much that needs to be done in terms of investing in young people. You have said that government needs to, give them, the opportunity, give them grants and all manner of things. But then there are those who argue that some young people are not interested. And then there are those who say that in some instances we train all of these people in our programs and then they're abroad. They eventually decide to up and leave. Okay. What do you say to those people?
So in the Southwest, where I come from, there are a lot of young people who, so people now say on Twitter and, on Facebook that education is a scam and all those sort of narratives. So we have a lot of job to do in reorientating our young people. And I think it starts from the families. So the families, our universities, our churches, our mosques, our religious houses, we have to reorientate young people, values, ethics. Everybody wants to drive Benz now. A lot of people want to, get money quick. People want to graduate in 2020 and by 2021, they are living their best life. It doesn't work out that way. Invest in yourself, go to school, get quality education, and continue working hard. And
we see
things are going to
messages
get
like
better.
that, but are they sinking in? I mean, you're on Twitter, you're very active on Twitter. When you put up messages like that, what sort of responses do you get?
So we get other popular people who try to water down that message. And I think, they are doing a lot of disservice to themselves. Because these young people who don't care about education or getting a decent job, who might turn to kidnapping or armed robbery or yahoo, they are a threat to the rest of us. They are a threat to, to the entire country. And to the second part of your question, why do people go abroad? People actually go abroad to look for greener pastures. People go abroad because they want to secure the future of their children, because they don't want to live in a country, where, first of all, it is difficult to make headway, no matter how hard you try. Only a very few people are, making headway. If you don't have connection or if you don't have someone up there, only very few people actually get things on merit. So people actually want to, ensure that their children don't go through the same hardship that they have gone through. People want to live in societies where the crime rate is not as high. I mean, it's
really scary.
It's scary, and this is why people actually leave.
But somehow you have found a way to keep coming back.
Yeah, so I mean, I keep saying, if I had my way, I would be living in Nigeria, because I know what I'm passionate about. I know what my calling is. I know why God has created me. It's actually to, you know, invest in young people, help young people. Of course, I like my job. Of course, I like being a lecturer in the UK. Of course, I like the life over there. But if we don't solve our own problems, if we stay abroad and, you know, we pontificate and criticize the government, you know, no one is going to get the job done.
What would you say to young people who are looking, you know, who are still in university right now and are scared stiff about finishing? I know I was scared when I was finishing university and I wasn't very sure what the jobs market was going to be like. What would you say to them to reassure them? Maybe not reassure them, but what they ought to know about the jobs market in Nigeria today?
So from 300 level, even 200 level, you know, second year at uni, if they can attend personal and professional development events outside the university. So if the university does not provide that opportunity to you, you can actually go source it yourself. So get the skills during holidays, even if it's 2 months, 3 months, volunteer, intern, you know, start a small business and fail. It's okay to fail, you know, early. I want to become a procurement, you know, associate, or a business development associate, or maybe a banker or whatever. You know, what skills are required for that specific role, and what skills are required for specific industries. So the telecoms industry, the banking industry, what are the skills that are in demand currently, and what are the skills of the future? So data analysis, you know, data mining, and all those sort of skills are very, very important for young people to learn.
What should employers know?
Employers, I mean, my message to employers is that they need to, you know, find a way to partner with universities, so engage in knowledge sharing partnerships with federal and state universities. I know a couple of private universities are doing this already. So if they can partner with, you know, universities to say, these are the sort of skills that we expect of our entry-level employees, and they can also invest as well, invest in universities.
Lastly, government. I know you've said a lot about what government should be doing, but what should they be doing some more of? Yeah,
so invest in more skills and employability classes and trainings and mentorship for young people. Invest in promoting or, you know, inspiring more young people to create their own businesses. So investing in SMEs, you know, working with the NUC to ensure that our university curriculum is adapted in such a way that it is not just theoretical based, but, you know, at a very early age, or, you know, at a very early stage while students are in the university, they learn basic entrepreneurial skills, they learn basic, you know, skills that will let them run a micro, small or medium enterprise successfully. And thirdly, investment. And ensure that you get competent people, people who are exposed, people who have a solid worldview, people who have been there and done that. And if they look very well, they would find lots of Nigerians who are competent, who are capable, who have the vision, and who can deliver and implement policies that would help us significantly reduce the unemployment and underemployment figures in Nigeria.
Dr. Dipo Awojide, thank you for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you very much, Maokwe.
That's where we wrap up tonight's conversation. But before we go, we'd like to acknowledge mails from Abdulaziz Makolo and Emmanuel Uche. We'd also like to acknowledge tweets from Dr. Sam Amadi, Monsieur Tim, Uto Paul, Toby Holloway, and a host of others. Or you too can be a part of the conversation. Just write to us using the handles on your screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. Good night.